sky. Vengeance in its eyes, vengeance in its eyes. All hope seems to die when he sees your eyes running through the night. Only takes him back, always out of sight, crowding through the night. Run, you can run, but you'll never hide. The walls are coming, you're running. 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 The walls are coming.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. It is extra time. It's obviously a Monday night. We normally try and do these on a Sunday, but we did have a Sunday game. We've got so much to be talking about today. We've already got over 100 of you joining us live. Sorry for the slight lateness in starting. We've got a really top lineup for you this evening, full of passionate Wolves fans of all generations that we're going to get stuck into and giving their honest opinions. We're going to be looking into, as usual, and discussing and dissecting all the key points of yesterday's game. The 2-1 defeat, the last gasp 95th minute defeat to Manchester City. Would they be giving their man of the match, their performance rating, their highlights and the day or what made them spoil? But we're also going to be getting your Q&A, your questions as well. We'll look ahead to Brighton next weekend, but we're going to be asking, as along with all of that, should Jose Sarr keep his place in the lineup for the game against Brighton? Obviously, he came back into the team this weekend. Sam Johnson apparently got a tweak. Bentley was on the bench. Jose Sarr made some fantastic saves during the game, and by most people was man of the match, I think. But we'll get everyone's views on that. And we've also got a poll running today as well, a new feature that we've been running on Extra Time. And this week we're asking the question, should Gary O'Neill, now he's finally gone to a back five, stick with a back five going forward? So without any further ado, let's introduce the panel. We have, here he is himself. It is the Lord himself, wearing a classic, if you listen to this back on the Always Wolves podcast, a classic white Wolves retro top. Is that the one with Tatung on it, mate?
It certainly is. It's only a replica, but I hosted actually Steve Plant's brilliant exhibition of his shirts the other day, and his book launch, which I've got to be honest, guys, I have not put down. It's a brilliant read.
Fantastic.
Honestly, it's just incredible. I've learned so much. But yeah, I've got a replica shirt on today to pay homage, a bit of homage to Steve, and obviously that.
Mate, I have to say, it really suits you. That shirt does.
With this tan that I've just got from Spain, that's the reason I wore white tonight.
I think it's the tan and the waft of grey hair that are starting to appear.
Dave, I know it's coming. I can't do anything about it. I'm nearly 50 now.
To be fair, mate, you're actually you might turn into a bit of a silver fox. You
whip your neck down, say that. I actually feel older than I look,
mate. It's well, thank you for coming on tonight. Much appreciated. We also have Wolves senior writer for our fantastic website, George Lakin, that's joining us tonight. How are you, George?
Good evening, gents. How are we?
Fantastic.
George
recently also wrote his first. You were lagging a bit there. George also recently wrote his first article for us on BBC, didn't you, as well?
Yes, mate. Brilliant. Thanks for giving me the chance, obviously, handing over the baton for the week, didn't you? So I appreciate that.
I did. You did a great job. So much appreciated on that. We also have back currently sitting in a stadium in Dusseldorf. I'm guessing it's not Dusseldorf.
Is it Everton's new ground? Oh, no, it's finished.
Who is it?
No, there's people in it, Jay, so it can't be Everton's new ground.
What ground's that then?
It's Gelsenkirchen, Schalke's home ground, where England played their first group game in the Euros.
Well, why haven't you got Fortuna Dusseldorf in the background? Because we all know that you love Fortuna Dusseldorf.
Well, one, because this is a Wolves show, and to
There you go with a different German.
Gelsenkirchen.
It's an international game, so
Ah.
England players are down there somewhere. There.
Well, fair enough. Actually, one of the things we will be talking about tonight, we'll ask everyone's opinion on the new England manager as well. So, Chris, thanks ever so much for joining us. And back from his American tour, where he's been the toast of the town on Camp America with so many USA girlfriends, one in each camp, apparently. We've got George too. How you doing, mate?
Nice to be back, everyone. Obviously, I haven't given any thoughts on here about the season so far, so excited to share to such a big audience.
Well, it's great to have you back. And before we get started, I, of course, want to say a massive big thank you to the wonderful people at Creation Wolf for powering extra time, delivering the industry's latest and most advanced digital solutions. They take your brand, online presence, and digital capabilities to the next level. You can find them in the description below under creationwolf.com. Or obviously you can just type it in. I know that they're working with 3 or 4 Wolves fans that have got businesses now, and they're getting them up the rankings and helping their businesses through what they're doing make more money for them by being found online, which is absolutely fantastic. So thanks ever so much to the team over there for continuing to support us. And let's go full screen, guys. Boom. We've got it all there. So yeah, great. We've got a great show lined up for you tonight. Let us know in the chat where you're watching from tonight and who you're watching with. But first of all, make sure if you're watching either on X or Facebook or on any platform, get onto the YouTube, because then we want to see your vote for what you think about the back 5. If the producer, Emma, can keep us up to date with the voting, that would be much appreciated. Rebecca's saying hi from Zagreb. Well, Rebecca's normally in Wolverhampton, but she's over in Zagreb. Scott's watching from Cannock. Carl says smash your likes. Yeah, good point as well. We're going to bring that up. Darren says best of luck to Manny tonight, who, as we speak, is literally hobnobbing it with loads of celebrities. I've seen him with James.
He's with Graham Souness.
It's Graham Souness, Beverly Knight, Connor Cody, George Corden. They're all there. And obviously he's been nominated for the Pride of Britain Award. So whether he wins or whether he doesn't, it's an absolute honour to get to go to this event tonight. But we do wish Manny all the best for what he's for his event tonight. I'm sure he's going to enjoy the evening, and quite rightly so too. We've got people watching from Ireland, from France, from Dublin, Donington, Bilston, Spain. We've got Hez over at Tunwall saying hello. So, Jason, let's get you going first, mate, on this. Yeah, what do you want to talk? What points do you want to make from the weekend?
I mean, we can talk. Listen, Dave, it wasn't actually a bad performance when you think, we was playing Man City, who were best side in the country, one of the best sides in the world. And we started off so well, didn't we? Which gives us a bit of a false sense of hope sometimes. But the goal was really well worked. The ball from Santiago Bueno out to Semedo, who does what he does best. We know he's an attacking wing back. We know him and Aitnori are better off going forward. Puts that great ball across. And bearing in mind, there was only one place he could have put that ball for Strand Larsen, and he put it on a sixpence. Brilliant finish as well, because they're sometimes difficult when a ball's coming across at pace like that, and it's a relatively what you could call an easy chance, because it's there's a gaping net before you. They're so easy to miss. So it was a great finish, and that was as good as it got, I suppose, wasn't it? Really, in terms of look, it was always going to be difficult against Man City. There was always going to give us pressure that we eventually would succumb under, and I think obviously the telling point to the game was right at the very end. But to go in at half time 1-1, and listen, their goal, they had a few chances, but it was a wonder strike. It was difficult to save. Bearing in mind, Jose Sarr, obviously we're going to speak a lot about him. What a game he was having! what a game.
He nearly
And
saved that as well. You know, he actually, when
did.
you look back and saw it back, he got a hand on that too.
Got a hand to it, put it into the side netting. The best of the saves to me was the one in the second half. I think it was from Ruben Diaz, because as he hit it, it was because all of his saves seemed to be low.
Yeah.
They hit it low and it bounced just before him. And you know, shot stopping, we all know what Sarr can be like. And I suppose our argument with Sarr has always been, obviously, when they played it across the back to his feet, he looks a bit uncomfortable. But they didn't seem to do that too much on Sunday, because the new Man City play such a high press, and with the pace their forwards come at them, it wasn't even worth risking. So, you know, on the balance of it, you know, the stats, this is where the problem is, right? So they're 22 shots to our 3, 78% possession to our 22. And this was the killer for me. You can put all them stats to one side, 18 corners to our 1. So they're constantly pumping balls into our box. It's going to be difficult to deal with. And right at the end, listen, we're going to discuss this VAR point, because
Of course we've got to, mate.
Absolutely, there's a couple of ways to look at this, but yes, it's a cross into the box. I think it was 4 or 5 corners on the bounce. We're under immense pressure, and we knew it was going to come, didn't we? So you've got what's his name, Bernardo Silva, in front of the keeper when the corner's taken. So is he interfering with play at that point? Definitely, he's interfering. But then, as soon as it hit John Stowe's head, and when you see it from the other angle, it's a header straight on goal, and Sarr can't really do anything about it. It's a point-blank header, obviously very difficult to save. He did a great day. You can't blame Jose Sarr in any way. I'm sure we'll all talk about the VAR point, but the killer for me in that game was not so much the possession there, because we knew Man City were always going to hurt us, but the amount of corners, 18-1. You know, corners are direct crosses into the box. But listen, on the balance of it, you've got to say it was a fair result. Good performance. But the worrying thing for me is, yes, you know, Jack Grealish has come out and said, oh, you know, the bottom of the league, they shouldn't be. Yeah, I get all that, but we are bottom of the league. And it doesn't matter how many plaudits we get and how many of the pundits say how good we're doing or whatever, or opposition. The fact is we're not getting results. And the worrying thing now going forward is we've got a tough game coming up against Brighton. Then the games we are expected to win, we're going to be under that much pressure to win. It could backfire. But overall, I was pleased with the performance, but it's just a horrible way to end the game.
Absolutely. George Lakin, you obviously, in the end, didn't get a chance to catch up with you before or after the game this time. But obviously, Jason's made some really, really good points on that. I'm sure you want to build on that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what he said. I think it was a good performance. I don't think you can knock the performance. I don't actually mind the amount of corners and shots that. I think I was expecting that. I think it's never, whenever you play Man City, it's like a totally different game you're watching. It's like they're just different, aren't they? The way they dominate is just insane. And I always feel like way less hopeful against them than even your Liverpools and Arsenals, because they're different gravy, basically. So I think that was always going to be inevitable. I've seen a lot saying that basically Gary was got it tactically spot on. And I've been thinking about that, and I think this was actually kind of a good game for him to have coming off the back of that Brentford game. And I know it sounds weird because it's the hardest game you will probably ever have as a manager. But it's a game where you don't actually have to think about tactics. You don't have to overcomplicate it. Yeah, he's almost forced to go 5 at the back when a lot have been pushing for it anyway. Okay, so that decision's been made for him. Yeah, you go low block. What tactical decisions is that to make? I think when the key to if you do it well against City is if you're punishing them on the break. I think first half, we did that really well. I mean, the goal, we went from our centre-back, Bueno, to a goal in 5 touches. Bueno took his first touch, pinged it out. Semedo took a touch, whipped it in. Larson tapped it in. The pace of that attack, that is doing it right. Second half, we obviously made a few tactical changes. We know Andre came off, and I presumed he was injured.
Well,
But
that was the thing to me. I was a bit surprised by that. So was he injured, or was it because he played a lot for Brazil whilst he was away, and they were just protecting him? Because it did seem very, very strange that he would take him off. You know, Andre is probably our best defensive midfielder that we've got. I mean, Gomez is great, but Andre, he was brilliant in the first half, I thought, and he's really good at getting the ball upfield and as well, getting us on the attack.
Yeah, I think O'Neill came out and said, he's played a lot, but he said he wasn't quite getting the details right. Is what I read somewhere. That's why he took him off. Now, I've got nothing against Tommy Doyle. I think he's a good player. I like him, and he played well second half. However, something changed second half when you would expect City to be pushing on more. So there should, in theory, have been more opportunities on the break. That's how you'd have to look at it. So if we were as impactful on the break as we were in the first half, there was options. There was a chance there to win the game. And I know it sounds like kind of being overly ambitious, but there was a chance there. There was times when it was 1-1, and it just stood out to me this one time when Tommy Doyle broke forward, got it over to Forbes on the wing. Geddes ran over right next to him, and the two of them just kept passing the ball to each other in the corner. And then on the halfway line, we had 8 players. The other 8 players all stood in a line, and no one was getting into the box. And if you look at the game last season, we obviously beat them 2-1, didn't we? And it was a very, very similar game. But when that moment came last season, we had that confidence. Right, this is our chance. Let's get in there. Let's get in the box and get that winning goal. It was... You've got to at least, even against the biggest teams, when those opportunities rise up, you've got to at least try and score goals to win games. If anything, we kind of got punished for that ultra defensive, which we had to do in the end. But you've got to break when the opportunity comes out. You've got to get at least 1 or 2 men in the box, because what are you hoping for? And then Pep came out after and said they literally put 11 players on a penalty spot. He was being quite critical of us, but there's no other way to play. So for me, I think, look at the bigger picture. I actually feel quite flat after it. And even if we'd have got a point, I'd have felt quite flat. And I think the reason being is I said beforehand, either go win the game, get a result, play well, which is almost impossible against City, let's face it. But then if you was to lose heavily, I think people would have been saying gone out, basically, wouldn't they? So a narrow defeat like that, we've ended up with nothing. I don't think he's had to make any tactical decisions, really. They've been made for him, And then I feel like there's going to be a little bit of, well, it was a good performance. And he could sort of live off that for another 3 or 4 weeks. And
I'll tell you what, George. Just park that there for now. We're going to come back onto that, which is interesting. We're going to go to other George, USA George, or Globetrotter George, whatever. We've got to give you a name, George.
George on TikTok, that's the best.
Yeah. You've been wanting to come in and on a couple of points there. So, and you've been itching to come on for a few weeks now. Obviously, couldn't make it a couple of weeks ago. You're back from your tour, and I'm sure you can tell everyone a little bit more about what you got up to as well, because that was quite interesting. But what are your takes? Because you've been itching to get involved there. I can see you chomping at the bit.
Well, I think first 20 minutes were really good. I think the goal definitely gave us like a platform to, build on and something to hold on to. But I thought after that 20 minutes, I know obviously this is naturally going to happen against City, but we just kept going. Like City would be pushing up, but we just kept going back and back and back. And it was like at one point they had the whole back four literally on the edge of our box, just passing it round, just waiting for the opportunity to come up. And to be honest, like obviously at 1-1, I'm thinking, we've got a chance, but like let's be honest, it's City. They're probably going to score. It was only up until the 90th minute I thought, hey, we might actually get a draw here, which would have been an incredible point. But honestly, I don't think we played brilliantly. I'm not going to lie. I think it was a low block. I thought 20 minutes were really good. I thought the low block was effective, but wasn't anything special. And I think we could have done better on the counter. Obviously, Semedo has that chance at 1-0. Could have made it 2. Probably should have been a bit clinical there. But I thought we were decent. And, you go on to O'Neill. Obviously, he's under a lot of pressure. If we're going to play like that, I wouldn't sack him. However, it's a results-based business. So, positives to take, but still a lot of pressure on the manager. Still a lot of pressure on the team. And, 1 point after 8 games, you can say, oh, we played well. As Jason said, the pundits can say, oh, yeah, we've done this, we've done that, we played brilliantly. Grealish is coming out saying this, but realistically, we got 1 point after 8 games. So, I don't know. It's not looking too good, but 9 run of games coming up, so you never know.
Can I just jump in quickly, Dave? It was a bit of a free hit for Gary O'Neill yesterday because we were playing Man City. And he's already come out and saying, we're expected to lose these games and all that gaff. But unless we'd have got hammered yesterday, it was a free hit for him. So whatever happened yesterday, unless we'd have lost 5 or 6, it's not going to make any difference to the landscape in the short term.
It's the atmosphere, though, at the game, though, isn't it? If we were getting battered, then all the anti-Fosun and anti-O'Neill...
Exactly, but the atmosphere, that's a great point there. Sorry to jump in, but the atmosphere was brilliant yesterday. I think that made a massive difference, a huge difference to have the players
in all season. And I think obviously the newness factor definitely brings it up. Yeah, but it shows that Molineux still has the ability to roar, but because we've been so suppressed recently of any joy, people, it's like when we score, I'm half celebrating because I'm thinking it's going to get rolled out here.
Wow. There is all that, to be honest, and it is Wolves have got a long history in the game, obviously founder members of the Football League, and it's the first time in our illustrious history that we've lost our first 4 games at home in a row, ever. Really? Yeah, okay, so playing Man City at home wasn't an easy one to try and not break that record, but we were within 25 seconds. Chris, got to spend a bit of time with you before the game, walked up. You were quite positive on the way up, especially when you heard it went.
Sure, it was Chris you was walking with.
Yeah, he was really positive. He's quite cheap. He even predicted a 2-1 win. And Chris, you weren't that far off, really. We had a big chance at 1-0 when Semedo, the ball was just behind him, and had that ball been a yard in front of him, I think the defender would never have got to him, but he put pressure on and he got a shot away. It deflected off the defender. It went past the post. I'm guaranteeing you, if that's the other end, it deflects off our defender. It goes in off the post or something, because that's the way our deflections seem to be hitting the bar, the post, or going wide, and everyone else, it seemed to be going in. But we didn't take it. And against City, you've got to take these big opportunities. Kuna had a run in the second half, which was he hit just wide. We had another good run when Forbes came on, made a cross, and I think Strand Larson kind of could have gone. He kind of pulled back for the pullback rather than going for the byline. Had he accelerated his run, I think he'd have got on the end of that. But he gambled one way or the other, and he didn't go. So we did create opportunities, and there is an argument to say also that, in the 93rd minute of the game, Conchalo Guedes is running in on goal and it gets tackled. This is before, and Man City had got so many of those sort of free kicks throughout the game on the edge of our box for shots in. And the guy pushes him and he gets the ball, but I think that's given against us if it's our player doing it and they get a free kick. We don't. They go down the other end. They get the 3 corners, which we did have chances to clear, and they score the goal, which coming on to. But had that free kick been given, we've got a shot on goal in the 94th minute. It's fine margins, Chris.
Yeah, definitely, Dave. I mean, look, I'm a little bit different than most people. I don't think that goal should have been disallowed. But I do think that goal should never have happened, because there were things that happened before that in the build up to it that should have been prevented. The first one, as you say, Nunes went through the back of Guedes, both arms around his back, got the ball. It was a foul. Should have been a free kick to us. If that was free kick was given, probably game all over.
And then the corner, Chris, Santiago Bueno's being pushed in the back as well.
It was worse than that, Dave, because we decided to bring on Bellegarde to cover Semedo, Semedo had marked that Savino out of the game. That Savino never went past Semedo once. Every time he got one-on-one with Semedo, he ended up going backwards. He'd had a fantastic game. What our incredible coach decided to do was bring on Bellegarde as extra cover. What I would have done was put Lima on and not Bellegarde. Bellegarde doesn't defend and he doesn't attack with any pace, where I think Lima is a full-back, wing-back, can probably be positioned in the right place, has got a bit of pace about him to break, and would have done the same job. So I don't know what he was thinking. I've given up trying to work out what he's thinking now. And then Bellegarde, Dorito-shaped header, could have headed the ball out, halfway at the pitch, bangs it out for a corner. Unbelievable header. It was such a poor defensive header. I don't want to criticise him too much because, you know, he's where he should be. He's defending, but for God's sake, you don't have to. You know, most Sunday League footballers could have headed that out towards the dugouts. So again, and then as you say, the ball comes over the third corner in a row, and Bueno's manhandled, pushed by Haaland, still makes a header, heads it out for a corner. That should have been a free kick, and then the rest is history. That happens now with keepers. We had the thing last year with West Ham. We need to understand that's what the game is now. Don't like it, that's what it is. And we had the opportunity to prevent that happening far more in advance of that bit of activity, and that's the disappointing thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the goal itself, obviously we were all disappointed, and there was a lot of confusion again in the ground, because like initially I thought the ref had given it, and then you see the VAR and think, oh right, so the Wolves fans are thinking, oh, this is going to be overturned and we're going to get away with it. But it turns out that it was the ref hadn't given it because the linesman flagged. Then it went to the VAR, and well, you've got Stuart Atwell. You've got no chance as a Wolves fan with Stuart Atwell in the VAR. He's like he keeps chalking them up, and you watch it back. Is the guy in the line of sight when the header comes in?
I think the thing with it, Dave, is the disappointing thing with that whole episode is they've tried to make a improvement in VAR, so we're all sat there thinking, oh, he's given offside, checking offside. Well, that wasn't offside. They were checking interfering with play. That it's not. And so that the words are up on the screen. I'm looking at it thinking, well, the linesman didn't put his flag up when he did. So how come it's suddenly offside? That I'm thinking, well, the linesman's been told it's offside, put your flag up. So I think it must be offside.
He's only offside if he's like interrupting Sar's view. So like that's what they were checking for, I think. Like, was he doing enough to?
No, I know the rules go, mate. He's put his flag up, so somebody's told him to put his flag up, and I'm thinking, well, why has he suddenly put his flag? That flag went up ages after they'd scored. Ages after the score, they'd run over to the pitch and were jumping around and God knows what. It just the whole sequence of it was just badly managed, and they need to sort it out. You just. Regardless of what the actual went on, the whole process is flawed.
Jason, was it a goal that at the end? Should it have been allowed?
Once again, I've seen loads of different angles, but when you see the definitive angle, of when John Stones headed it. Silver's well out the way, isn't he? Whether he was interfering with the corner that comes into the box, which once again that's inconsequential. Yeah, I think it was a goal. And listen, people aren't going to agree with me, and I understand it because we've just lost in the last minute. But realistically, if that had happened to us, we'd be well stuff, wouldn't we? We would.
Well, but it did happen to us, though, didn't it? That's
what
I think
happened,
that's
Dave?
the point that
happened,
people don't understand consistency.
What happened when it happened to us?
It got disallowed.
Yeah. What as fans? What were we? Pissed off. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were angry. We were in uproar. So,
but
that's
sorry,
that's my whole point. You know. So I've got to be honest. Look, for me, it is a goal. But look, we've got to look at the build-up to it. When we're giving away 3 or 4 corners on the bounce. You know, I know why we're giving away corners because we're under pressure, but we keep soaking up that pressure. We can only soak up for so long. And when a team puts that much percentage in possession, has that many shots on goal, they will end up in the back of the net. But this is up to, this is on Gary O'Neill. This is up for him to sort out. I want to just mention the Sarr thing very quickly as well. If he drops Sarr for Sam Johnston against Brighton, that is a sackable offence in itself because you need to have the best players out on the pitch, right? You need to have the players in form. You need to have the players with confidence. Yes, I understand certain matches, certain players suit better than others, right? So if we're going to play, one up top, for example, we might pick this player over that player, and form goes out the window. But in the goalkeeping department, you want to play the one who's on form. And for me, if you look at Sarr's performance, he has to start against Brighton, and he's earned the right to start against Brighton. If Gary O'Neill picks Sam Johnston ahead of him, that will just blow my mind. That will blow my mind because Sarr has to start.
George Lakin on Sarr. Do you agree?
Well, yeah, I think there's obviously some personal issues between O'Neill and Sarr. And in the past, we have celebrated and praised Gary O'Neill for his man management, haven't we? But if you look at cases like this, you've got the better of the 2 goalkeepers, who he can't get on side. And you can tell Sarr almost put that performance in. It's wrong, really, to spite O'Neill. And for me, this isn't what a good manager does. And all the funny comments in it, like no headache at all when someone asked him, will he be playing? And I've watched that 3 or 4 times, and I don't actually know what he means. I think I've come to the conclusion that I don't think that he knows what the interviewer guy. I don't think he knows what he meant when he said, "Has he caused you a headache?" I don't think he knows. He was basically asking him, "Is Sarr going to be starting the next game?" He doesn't realise what he's asking him. I can't really figure. I think it's almost like he's just become really confused. I think he's lost certain players. Whether he's lost the whole dressing room, I've got second thoughts on that now because I did see some players fighting for him out there. I can't lie, I did. But I think he's definitely lost certain individuals, and certain individuals who were probably strong enough to be in our starting 11 have lost faith in him. You've got to have the whole team. You've got to have the whole collective. I keep bringing a player back, someone like Hugo Bueno, who we let go out. For me, that was a sign of poor man management because you, as a manager, should be saying to Hugo Bueno, you're our second choice left back, left wing back. You're going to be needed this season. Don't leave. I need you here. You're a big part of my plans. Squad depth for all one team. He wasn't able to get someone like Bueno on, but he said, "No, I want to go and play football." You could force your way in, you got to. I might transition positions.
Well, he's playing Champions League football, and and he's played virtually every game for Feyenoord. Yeah,
that's true, but that's as if to say he's gone on a permanent. In theory, a lot of people say, "Oh, he's going there to become a better player for us," but I think he was a significant part of our group. I think he was probably in our top 15 players for me. He was a big part of it, and he was ready now. And we've lost someone like him. We've someone like Sarr seems to be disillusioned with the club. I think it's messy. And I think we need someone in to sort it all out and galvanise the group and get everyone on the same page, because some are still fighting for him. So I think it's clear that he's got his favourites, and I don't think we are a collective bunch. I really don't, and I don't think that's going to bode well personally. But should Sarr start? Yeah,
100%.
Sarr starting for you, George.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, the whole Sarr thing is ludicrous. Let's be honest, like, start of last season, he gets a new contract after that fantastic game against Everton. And to be fair, you know, at one point, we're a pretty solid defensive unit. I know we tailed off towards the back end of last season. You can't really fault Sarr for some of the injuries we had. So I know he had a rough start to the season. I know his distribution is not great, but I don't know what they're seeing Johnston that makes them think Johnston's any better. That 10 million we spent on Johnston couldn't have gone on centre back. You know, it's like obvious issues that us as fans who just go to the ground and watch the games, you know, we're no football experts. It's obvious issues that we seem to be able to point out.
Yeah, like we can't all be wrong, George. We can't all be wrong, can we?
It just seems obvious to me. Sam Johnston, what was he, second keeper at Palace? Like, not really doing anything special.
Well, he was second keeper at Palace, but he got an injury and then he lost his place. And obviously, you know, he was in the England setup for quite a time. So he's not a bad keeper. Let's face it, Sam Johnston last week made 2 one-on-one saves against Brentford and 3 saves at the back post. At the thing, he made 3 or 4 saves as well.
And he won't play against Brentford.
Let 5 in.
Yeah, but Jason, I don't think you can blame Sam Johnston for last week. If you've got no defence or midfield and they're not dealing with the crosses.
I've got to disagree. I'm not blaming him for every goal, but he was in goal and he shipped 5 goals. So
I was in goal and we shipped 6.
Culpability. And
so I was in goal and we shipped 6.
Yeah, you know, I get it. You should have been dropped.
Chelsea.
You should have been
if you're
dropped.
Not defending. And you've got players with 3 shots, they're going to score. I'm not saying I disagree with you about Sarr. I mean, I'm going to ask Chris. I 100% agree with all of what you're saying. For me, you know, the way it always goes in football, if you drop out the team and someone comes in and they have the shirt, it's for them to lose.
Absolutely.
And Sarr was man of the match yesterday. I feel like Johnson's come in. Maybe you got a little bit. There's a lot of people that were on this channel and on socials that were saying Sarr's not good enough. He needs to be dropped. This, that, and the other. We need to get rid of him. Yeah. And now everyone's saying we need Sarr back in. But like maybe he got it too easy. And Johnson coming in has meant that he's had to move his level up potentially because he was fantastic yesterday. And I 100% agree with you, Jason, George, and I'm sure Chris is going to say the thing that there is no way in this world that Gary O'Neill should be dropping Jose Sarr after that performance next week because he did everything. He was fantastic. He kept us in the game. He nearly saved the first one. He was brilliant. And Jose Sarr, when he's on it, is absolutely a fantastic keeper. And I'm hoping that the bit of time out the team with Johnston coming in has really, you know, made him up his levels with a point to prove, and he looked like a keeper with a point to prove yesterday. Chris, your opinion on Sarr before we move on?
The Sarr thing's a bit more holistic than just should he play against Johnson. What we need to consider is why did we drop him in the first place? Because he had a bad game. He's being asked to play a brand of football with his feet that is not his style. And the manager and his back four and his imbecilic tactics have forced that on Jose Sarr, and that's contributed to his lack of form. Yesterday, Jose Sarr was told to boot that ball every time he had it, and he did. And we had no issues at all with dodgy stuff at the back throughout the game at all. So the manager's got to take this on the chin. George is right. We wasted £10 million on a keeper that then, because the manager was obsessed with this playing style at the back, wanted to play the ball back, and we watched nothing but our centre-halves play the ball back to the goalkeeper for the first 8 games of the season. And all of that has done is invite other teams onto us on pressure and caused that we've been masters of our own downfall. The real thing we've got to think about this is I disagree with George above me. I think he has lost the dressing room. I think he's made far too many issues with players and big issues. You've got Hobbs and O'Neill coming out about Santi Bueno saying we were looking for another centre half at the end of the transfer window, and if we decided he'd be on his way out. That lad played fantastic yesterday. He showed what he can do.
He's brilliant.
And you then think, well, what are they trying to do? They are demotivating these players. Lemina doesn't look like anything like the player that he looks like the player I went to see the odd game or two, and Brian will tell you that used to be at Southampton at the moment. Awful, Lemina is. He's not the player he used to be. Last year he was fantastic. I would have said at start of the season, yeah, captain fantastic. He's brilliant, going to be everywhere for us. He's not been anything like that. All of these things are eroding the trust and confidence this squad has got in the manager, and that is why the team is doing what it's been doing. And I don't think we should have dropped Sarr. I understand the need to bring in extra competition because I didn't think Bentley or the other guy, King, who spends most of his time with Mikey Burrows in the stand, world's most expensive commentator. I don't think they're of the standard we need to keep Sarr under pressure as a number one. I think Johnston is. But if we had Johnson back in next week, what we should be saying to him, stop messing with this ball at the back and boot it. You've got a 6'4" guy up front, although he's not too good at getting on the end of it. But his second balls and push it and just do that. Get it out the way. If you're not brilliant defending, keep the ball away from your back four. It's like Sunday League tactic football. I just can't get my head around it. So I think a long answer, but no, Sarr should be playing.
And I think we're all pretty much in agreement that Sarr should not be dropped for the next game. And I think if he is, Gary O'Neill's putting another nail potentially in his coffin. He's got to be out. To me, if you're a manager and the players are on the pitch, if they put in a shift and they've played really, really well, they've got the shirt. So it's like, well played, do it again next week. Keep your shirt.
Did we sign Johnson as a player who could play from the back? Because I haven't seen that from Johnston once. Ball at his feet. Like, he's no better.
He never did at Palace. He never did at Palace either.
I don't see why they put Johnson on the answer.
Well, they were looking at Ramsdale, weren't they? They were looking at Ramsdale initially, but they didn't want to pay the extra money. So Johnson was the cheaper option of the two. Ramsdale obviously playing for Southampton. And obviously we'll see him at Wolves. And they're trying to play out.
Dave, it just looks like 10 million to appease whatever pettiness O'Neill had with Sarr and didn't want him playing anymore. That's what it looks like from the outside, doesn't it?
Is it on Hobbs as well? Because surely they had a deal for Sarr lined up. They weren't just going to spend 10 million and just have Sarr sticking around.
Well, he had options. He did have an option, I think, from my understanding. They thought he might be going to Saudi. Then there was talk about him going to Turkey. Sarr didn't want to do that. Obviously, when Johnson came in, Sarr disappeared for a weekend, so he wasn't very happy. He's not moved. Maybe he'll end up going in January. We'll wait and see. I want to move on to the next point. I've got an article out today on BBC, which is here, if it comes up. Let me just see whether that's up there. So this is on the BBC website, which is an article where I'm talking about, was this enough to restore faith in O'Neill? It's talking about basically Wolves playing a back five and playing the likes of Nelson Semedo and Ryan Ait-Nouri as wing backs. Talking about many fans that felt the return to back five would strengthen the unit and also play to the strengths. Also talking about, it's always going to be it's hard to determine if this is enough to restore faith in O'Neill or if it's addressed our current tactical issues. So if someone can give us an update on what the voting is on that, who wants to go first on this about the back five? Because we've been talking about it for a little while. Maybe Chris, you can go first on this one because it's something that you've been passionately talking about for quite a long time, and the likes of Sutty. I was with you when we're before the game at the weekend, and when the team came out, initially you thought it was a back four, and I said, well, no, they've got these three players. And then as soon as we thought it was a back five, it was like a little smile came from your face. You were like, finally. And you were a lot more positive going into the game before.
Yeah, I think we've been saying it all along, Dave. And I know people think we're just miserable old gits, and Keith's probably a miserable old git as well. He says the same thing as me. We haven't got and we haven't recruited the right calibre of players to play a back four. You need different type of centre halves, and we didn't sign any in the summer. We just brought Yerson back, who looks like I think he actually could do, but and your Dawson is not. I don't think he can play in a back four now. He's too.
He's so much happier in a back five.
The job he did yesterday, he was basically told to follow Haaland around yesterday, and he did. Stop doing like that. He got nowhere. Haaland got no change. That's the second game Dawson's done that to him.
Yeah,
he must hate it because he'll know. Like Dawson's about me. I ain't getting no change out of this fella. That as a defender and a forward, when you come up players, I've got your marker here, and the famous one was Jerry Taggart and Bully. Bully used to know if he went out and played against Jerry Taggart, he won't score. And the rest of people have run past Jerry Taggart and score goal. But with him and Bully, Jerry Taggart had his marker, and you just know, and it affects your game so much if you're going against somebody like that. The back five, I think, it's not about defending, it's about making the most of our wing backs. Aït-Nouri and Semedo to a degree. And they're not brilliant defenders, but I'd argue Semedo can play in the back four. But we don't get the best out of those players unless we use them in that role. And it gives you more going forward. It's not a defensive thing. It's not negative. If you do play it the right way. And that goal that we scored was a classic goal you score with wing backs and back five. A switch ball from Bueno, and it was really fast. How many times have we seen that ball this season labouring along the back four to the keeper, then back to the centre half, then back to the keeper? Oh, there's nobody on. Then
right ball from Semedo.
Yeah, it was quick, fast, but Bueno ran the corner to Semedo, and he was gone. That it gives you that push forward, and City didn't like it. So for me, back five is what we should be playing. If the manager does anything different with the personnel he's got, it just proves to me he's not a manager, which is what I've come to the conclusion of.
Jason.
Yeah, I echo Chris's point completely. If we are going to play a back four, we can't play Semedo and Aït-Nouri. We need just two sitting fullbacks, and then we lose the attacking impetus going forward, and then we don't score the first goal against Man City. So we have got to play five at the back. With Semedo and Aït-Nouri, obviously they're an integral part of that. Would you trust Totti Gomez in a back four? No, you wouldn't. But he does look more comfortable, although I keep saying how one-footed he is in a back five. So there is no shadow of doubt in my mind that we have got to play a back five over a back four. And like George, I echo George's comments earlier on the fact that 99% of people in that stadium, week in, week out, agree as well and can see.
Well said. We'll go to you, George, at Lakin.
Well, I think you know what? I don't know if he will, but I think he's got to. He's got to go five at the back. If you take, you look at that moment. Look at the moment we scored the goal. Against any other team other than Man City, you're going to get many moments like that in a game. That's the side of the game that we've got to be working on. Yeah, that's where we're most effective, in my opinion. You saw it. The players, they're instinctively almost, that's how it felt to me. They instinctively knew where they were going to be. Yeah, Bueno knew to pop that out to Semedo. Semedo knew Strand Larson was going to be on the back stick. It just seemed to suit us so much better. And we haven't even been playing that system. So it's those moments and those moments we've got to be working on. So for me, it's definitely 5 at the back. But I feel like he's the kind of guy who might just choose to fall on his sword. And he'll go back to a 4. I think he's a bit stubborn. Yeah, I think he's a bit stubborn. Well done to Manny as well. Comments coming through.
Well, yeah. I'm just
Brilliant.
we're just hearing we're literally just hearing live that Manny has just won Pride of Britain
Incredible.
fundraiser of the year, and which is absolutely
Incredible.
which is absolutely what an absolutely amazing achievement that is. Let me just see if I can get this.
Thoroughly deserved. Well done, Manny. Jeff,
Well done, Manny.
Yeah, let's see if I can just get this up on the screen now, if I can.
Oh, wow.
Oh, absolutely amazing. So, Manny, mate, we are so proud of you. It's been
they should have arranged for Jeff Shee to present that award. He'd have loved that.
Oh, mate, it's just amazing that he's looking very smart tonight. You can just see an image on the screen there, just if you can see. Well, just managed to get a hold of. He's being interviewed on the screen. He's wearing the gold turban, looking very suave, and what an absolute incredible achievement. We're incredibly proud, mate. So hopefully we'll be able to get him on next week to talk about that ahead of what is Samosa Saturday coming up on the 2nd of November. But absolutely brilliant from all of us. Well, look, at least someone from Wolves can win something, eh? You know, absolutely fantastic. And, you know, it's great to have some positive news of something like that. I mean, we talk about the football, we talk about all of these sort of things. But, like, when you think about, like, dementia and and Jason, you're a huge fundraiser yourself. You raise a lot of money, so you know what goes into organising and planning and fundraising and stuff like that. And I know you've been recognised as well for a lot of the work that you do. But like, dementia affects so many people, and Manny doesn't even have anyone that's affected with it. It's just something he's took up and done. So listen, on behalf of everyone here on the channel, I'm sure of everyone around the country, congratulations to him. Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, George, your thoughts on the back 5?
Yeah, I mean, I personally definitely think you should keep the back 5. You know, if you watch yesterday, we looked so much more solid. I mean, obviously, we did concede 2 against one of the top teams in the league. Had we applied a back 5 against Newcastle, Villa, Liverpool, would it have been a different story? I actually think we would have got points out of those games if we applied a back 5. My only issue, it's not really an issue because personally, this is something that doesn't bother me because I'm only bothered about results. But the only problem is with playing a back 5 is he's going to play a back 5, and then he seems very adamant on the fact that Lamina, Andre, and Gomez have to play. So that means you've only got room for 2 attackers. That means you've got 6 attacking options on the bench. I don't know how you keep all 6 of them happy. So I'm happy for him to play a back 5, but I do think it might cause an issue with like those other players. Yeah, you got Bellegarde, who was starting, doesn't really seem to fancy that much anymore. Gomez, who can't get a kick. Sarabia can't get on the pitch. You obviously got Hwang, who is out of favour, but, you know, a good player on his day. Forbes, who he seems to take a liking to, and is it Guedes? So in January, we have to get rid of a couple of those attackers, and I'd say Sarabia and Guedes, because they're both on 90 grand a week. That's how I'd tackle that issue, but yeah, definitely a 5.
Just on that one, Dave, for George, and Sarabia, he was one of our top creators last season. He's another player who I think clearly Gons fell out with.
Yeah, I do feel a bit frustrated for Sarabia because he, like you say, he just doesn't get on the pitch. He just doesn't seem to play him.
Fell out with him.
Great player. him.
I heard
Who's
a
glad
rumour.
with him? Why is he even on the bench?
I heard a rumour he was causing issues in training, but apparently that's not the case. You know, apparently he's just keeping his head up and getting on with it.
No,
He's a season
you
pro,
can't
mate.
see Sarabia.
Sarabia.
You can't really see Sarabia doing that. You can tell players' temperaments, and Sarabia, he's played at PSG, for God's sake, he ain't going to come
First
to
out the tunnel, first out off the subs bench yesterday, clapping the fans. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
So
He's not going to be one of them, but you can tell, and that's a good point about O'Neill. You can imagine how stubborn he is with this back five, back four situation, or his tactics, etc. You can imagine how stubborn he can be with a player. So, and that's not great management.
Because if you actually think back to last season, he didn't want to play Sarabia then, did he? And then he brought him on against Spurs. Obviously scored, and then didn't even bring it on the next game against Fulham. And it was only because of an injury he had to start playing. So he's obviously never fancied him.
No, I don't know. I think there's
a few people that have known Sarabia, and he said he's a real gentleman, really nice bloke. So, he's obviously I suspect that Sarabia will definitely be gone in January. He's not going to be wanting to sit at Wolves, who are languishing at the bottom of the table, like not even getting on the pitch. To be honest, even Tommy Doyle's frustrated. He's sort of expressed a frustration. As well, and he's a cracking little player.
Tommy Doyle should be ahead of Lamina, in my opinion, at the moment.
Well, I kind of agree with you, George. I mean, I love Lamina. I think he's a great guy. I think the captaincy's weighed very heavy on him.
Yeah.
But we've got like three sort of like similar midfielders playing, and Tommy Doyle gives you a bit of a different option. At half time, if Lamina had been taken off instead of Andre, I would have understood that a bit more. But maybe we don't know really why Andre was taken off, but maybe it's protecting him. I don't know. But anyway, so let's move on to this next point that we're going to talk about, which is where are we? There you go. Man of the match, performance rating, and moment of the day. Who wants to go first with that?
I don't mind.
Okay, crack on.
Performance rating. It's difficult when you lose at home, and you don't get much possession. But I think with the times we did get the ball, with the chances we created, don't forget there was that Semedo 1-on-1, which brilliant link-up play between Cunha and Jorg Strand-Larsen. And that's another one. Strand-Larsen, I've seen getting pelters on Twitter. He's doing a reasonable job. He's doing a decent job. He scored a few goals. We've got to give the lad time to settle. Some of the pressure he gets, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't do the other. Of course he can't. We haven't signed Haaland. He can't do it.
There was only one Norwegian that scored yesterday, and it weren't Haaland, it was Larsen.
Well,
he had a better performance than Haaland did yesterday.
Absolutely. Listen, he's a good player. That was a good finish yesterday. So performance rating, my point I'm getting to is, although it was, we've lost at home, I'm going to give it a 7 because I can see positives, but I think it was more luck than judgment, or more hard work from the players than Gary O'Neill's tactical nous. Moment of the match for me was the goal. I just thought it was just so exciting the way we broke. The way we did, so quick, with such intent, and like I said, it was a great finish. Man of the match for me, hands down. I can't see anyone else getting it. Jose Sarr.
Jose Sarr. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, which of the George wants to go?
I'll go, mate. Performance rating, I'll give it a 6.5. I think second half we needed to at least attack a little bit when the opportunity rose to do so. So that I felt that was let us down a little bit. But I think the way we defended, the way they dug in, it was admirable, really. They gave it a real good go. So a solid 6.5. Man of the match, I'll give it to Craigie Dawson for marking Haaland out of the game. But obviously Sarr was excellent as well. And I think if Johnson is in, that's 3 or 4-1. No question about it whatsoever. Moment of the day for me, I'm going to go for something a little different. And I'm going to go for the moment. I think it was on 90 minutes when the fans saw the players tiring, and the whole of Molineux was singing Gary O'Neill's Barmy Army. With times as they are, doesn't that just show you how much as fans we are willing to get behind this manager and team? Even if, look, I think at the end of the day, Gon's time is probably up. But when those players needed it, and when the team needed it, even when the manager needed it, who many people are so frustrated with, we got behind them to try and get them behind the line. Don't take that for granted. Yeah, don't take that for granted. Don't be stubborn. Yeah, do what probably is the best thing to do, which is play to our strengths, get to a 5 at the back. Because look, many people want him out, and understandably so. But that doesn't mean to say that if performances turn around, the fans will get back behind O'Neill and the team. They will, because for 90 minutes we felt like there was giving it their all, and ultimately that's all we'd ask. But at the minute, it feels like, for me, for whatever reason, the manager isn't getting the best out of these players. And yes, it was a defensive performance yesterday, but it did feel like it was a performance that was getting the best out of them, and they were giving it their all, and the fans appreciate that. And I just think, don't take that for granted, because I think that was quite a special moment. I do, given how it's been lately, and on a day when many said it's going to get toxic and stuff, to be calling his name to try and get his team over the line, he should feel quite humbled by that, I think. And at the end of the day, do what needs to be done now, mate, because play to our strengths, and you can still win this background. Not that I'm saying he deserves a chance. For me, he doesn't, but he could, and that was a big moment. I felt it was a big moment.
Good, well said, George. Other George.
Yeah, so man of the match, I'm going to go for someone a bit different. I think Santi Bueno really impressed me yesterday, and I think obviously all the stuff that Hobbs is coming out with, and obviously O'Neill clearly doesn't really fancy him. He come off a good international break. He's proven now that he is a good option, and I think he's been quite harshly treated at Wolves, and so it was really good to see him have a good, solid performance. But yeah, I mean, I would have probably said Dawson, but I wanted to say someone different. But yeah, Dawson was really good, and obviously
fair play.
Performance rating, I mean, we lost, so you can't really give it more than a 7. So I'd give it a 6.5. We played a low block; it's pretty effective, and we nearly worked. So you can't really discredit it. Moment of the day, it's just nice, regardless of the circumstance and stuff. It was just nice watching Wolves on a sunny day and just enjoying just being able to watch Wolves. I don't know. It's just, yesterday was just a nice game of football. I was disappointed at the end, but I don't know. I just really enjoyed just being there and just enjoying it, because that's what life's about. Just enjoying. Where you might as well. I know we're not playing well, but you might as well still try and enjoy it. So yeah.
Well, yeah, as much as you can do, George. Chris.
Man of the match, quite a few contenders. Some that definitely were contenders. I mentioned Lamina, he didn't have a very good game. I didn't think Kuna played that well yesterday either. Ones that play well, mentioned Santi Bueno, you mentioned Dawson. Totti, I thought, played well in the back three. Both full backs, but the only person I can give that to is Sarr. You've got to give him the man of the match. The saves he made, coming back in, giving it to coming back into a side that's browbeaten.
Just quickly, Fabio Silva just scored.
Yeah.
Fabio Silva's just scored, just quickly.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Performance rating, a little bit different than I'm a defender. So that game for us was all about defending. And they did that. They performed their task exactly how they should have done. I think the manager has ended up being forced down the route, similar to Luton last year, but he's put a back 5. You can't fault that performance defensively, what they did. Backs to the wall. They're going to have lots of corners. They're going to have some opportunities. But, apart from 3 good saves Sarr made, they went absolutely hammerless with chances. we were defending well. So I'd have to give that an 8.
Yeah, no, and to be honest, Chris, I'm kind of a bit with you with regards to that, because look, in terms of how they performed in the circumstances, you know, they gave everything. They gave everything. You know, I didn't see I didn't see a team on the pitch that weren't playing for the manager yesterday. Maybe George is right. Maybe George is right. There's some that he's fell out with. I don't know, but like a team doesn't play like that unless, you know, if he's lost the dressing room completely, because otherwise
unless you take the point that they might be playing for themselves.
That's fine, but I mean, yeah, I think that's the point. But like, even saying that, there's got to be a structure. You said, like, I almost feel like I agree, he's been kind of forced to go back to a 5. You know, everyone's been saying it. It's like, if they're going to play like the back 4, you make sure you got fullbacks, and you make sure that you're bringing in 2 senior defenders, and you plan for any injuries or suspensions. The problem that we've got with the back 3, even though, like, yeah, it's great, we have literally only got 3 senior defenders, and they're all on the pitch. You look at the bench yesterday, the only defender on the bench was Matt Doherty. That was it. You know, so no Alfie Pond, no Bastian, who's the young lad that you mentioned about. So that's a suspension or an injury waiting to put us in the real diet. If they can stay fit, but if they get injured, one of them gets injured, we're back to like last year, when we had no strikers, we could have had no defenders, and then you're trying to scratch around in January. Right, we're going to come on. We're going to
give a moment of the day, Dave.
Yes.
So my moment of the day is not a good moment, but I think I need to mention it. Just after we scored, there was a bang around where I was sitting, and I thought it's a bit strange noise. And about 4 minutes later, there was another really loud bang, and the entire row where I sit collapsed of seats, and we had to go and stand in the disabled section for 25-30 minutes while they sent some guys out with some equipment to fix them.
What stand are you sitting?
In the North Bank.
You're in NL1, aren't you?
Yeah. And literally, there are 2 U-bolts that fit behind the back of the stand. It's a big rail that the seats sit on that holds these seats in. I think they must have worked loose over time, and look, I'm an engineer, so I know what's going on. These things probably haven't been tightened up or checked for a while, and as people are sitting in the seats, they are starting to wobble. And when they start wobbling because they're not tightened down, you get a shearing effect, and literally the whole row of seats sheared off. So I have to say, stewards did a good job. They got us all out immediately, relocated us into the disabled area. And that was quite good, standing down there for a while, close to the pitch. And then 30 minutes later, they give us a shout, and some guy had been up and fixed them, which was quite impressive on a match day. So we all went back to our seats then, but it really was a concerning moment. One of the elderly ladies in my row, I think she got hurt a little bit from it, but I hope she's okay.
If you dropped suddenly like that. Fantastic, guys. Right, I'm going to just do a little bit of a plug now, if I may, which is for this, which is what we've got here, which is some brand new merchandise that have been sent from Foco. Wolves merchandise. This is a rucksack with lots of pockets and space for people, for kids, for youngsters, for any age really that you can get. And I'm going to put on the screen for you now. This is a great opportunity when you're thinking about Christmas presents and Christmas gifting. I'm going to share the screen with you because this is the Foco site. The link's in the description below. And as you can see, they've got so much Wolves products for you to have a look at. You've got a nice little cap, you've got mug, you've got water bottles, You've got a nice little gnome. You've got a build yourself Wolves Brixel, which is great. You're going to get 15%, not 10% off with Always Wolves. You've got a sandwich box. That's the bag that I just showed you. So you can just see when all the things that's up there that's going. And that's 25 quid, that bag. But with the discount, you get 15% off with Always Wolves 15. And then you got like the Molyneux World's Best Dad. There's a lovely little cover.
That Hawaiian shirt, David, looked great on Jason.
Mate, I bought it already.
Have you?
Yeah, I actually think. Yeah,
I bought it, and my missus wouldn't let me wear it on holiday.
Mate, you would definitely look good.
She said to me, if you wear that, we're getting divorced. I don't know why I didn't wear it now.
Well, there you go. So, guys, check out the link. It's in the link's in the description. You're going to be looking at products and buying things for things. There's so much stuff on there. Really cheap anyway, but like with Always Wolves 15, you get another 15% off. And then they've got, if you've got friends from, who support other clubs or even NFL and all that sort of stuff, there's all sorts of products on there, including Marvel stuff as well. So you get 15% off everything with it, so just click on the link. Right, I'm going to look ahead now for everyone. We're going to be looking ahead to Brighton next weekend. Jason,
it gets
how are you
worse.
feeling about that, mate?
Well, listen, 4 or 5 years ago, when the fixtures come out and you see Brighton, you'd think, oh, there's a chance here. But listen, I think it's going to be, once again, a really tough ask. They're a very well-organised side, not only on the pitch, they're a well-organised club off the pitch as well. And we fell way, way, way behind their level now. And we've seen that, the way they've grown, the way they've developed as a club, and this is where we was going in the early days under Fosun, but we're just lagging behind now, which is a shame. So I think it's going to be tough. I don't think it's going to be another free hit like he's got against City, because it is a game, once again, we should be looking to get something from, but I don't think we are. So no.
Got a point there last season.
Jason, what's your score?
Sorry?
Prediction? What's your score prediction?
I don't really want to back against Wolves, but I can't see us getting anything from it. And the fact it's away as well is only going to make it even more difficult. I went to Brighton when we lost 6-0, so that brings terrible memories, and I'm sure a lot of the supporters who will be there will see that as well. So I don't know, 2-0 Brighton.
George, you were wanting to say, come in there.
Yeah, well, we got a point there last year, and with our second team, it was quite a narrow defeat in the cup. So, you got to back them to get something, haven't you? So, yeah, I reckon we'll do it. I reckon we beat them. Why not? Might as well stay positive.
What are you going for, George?
I reckon a narrow 2-1. And when I say narrow, I mean narrow.
Yeah.
I think Forbes will score, and I think Totti will score.
Mate, you do realise that actually, that if that turns out to be the case, you've got a perfectly made TikTok right there, just ready to go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll screen record that afterwards, and then we'll see what happens right there.
I know. Look, I'll be going to Brighton. Me and Emma, we're going down. It's going to be a long day, but obviously you go there with hope. You always go into a game with hope. Chris, your thoughts? Chris
has fell off his chair. The bolts have just sheared off it. The absolute irony.
George, we'll go with you. Wait, Chris will be back in a minute, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm not giving Gary a free hit on this one. So I expect a result. It's a tough game, yeah, but I think if we'd have gone 5 at the back, I think George said earlier, if we'd have gone 5 at the back, we'd have picked up more points by now in games. So firstly, I want to be seeing him play to our strengths, and I expect us to pick something up. And if he doesn't, if we don't get anything, I think that's it. Time to go. I think he will still get it's Palace after that, isn't it? Palace at home, is it?
Palace, and then Southampton. Yeah.
Yeah, I think regardless of the result at Brighton, he will still get that game, but I don't think he should. We're at a position now where there's 30 games left. Okay, we've got to win at least 10, haven't we? At least 10. Okay, I said a couple of weeks ago, 13 to get to 40 points.
Jeez.
If that looks ambitious now,
I
say
think
at least 10.
34 points keeps you up this
That's
year.
a massive ask, guys. That is a massive
Let's say
ask.
34. And you're hoping as well then. You're hoping that Leicester or something don't have a decent season and there's 3 really weak teams.
Forest have just scored against Palace
like
as well.
You know, when you put it like that, George, because we've had a difficult running in the first few games, but you can only beat what's in front of you. So I'm not buying this. So, you know, we stood up against the FA and we've got a bad run and all this. But when you put it down and you break it down like that, with 30 games to go, we've got to win 10. We are in massive trouble, make no mistake. And what they will need to do...
We've won 1 in 21, mate.
And what exactly?
We've won 1 in 21, and we've got to we have to turn into a team that wins 1 in 3. And we've won 1 in 21.
It's going to get to a point...
1 in 18.
Is it?
Yeah,
it's going to get to a point where we are going to have to pull in a reactionary manager, because there's no point bringing a project manager in or someone who's... We're going to have to bring someone in who just pulls us right out of it.
So, as I was saying, I'm not giving any more free hits. It has to start now. If we're going to win 1 in 3 games, we're going to have to win a few games like Brighton away. So for me, it's last chance saloon. But he will get Palace at home, and that'll be some pressure on that game, because that'll be 9 games in if we don't get anything at Brighton. That'll be the 10th game of the season, still looking for a win. Has there been many teams that survive relegation not winning any of the first 10?
George, no, I don't think anyone's stayed up after 1 point after 8 games. I think that's actually, or there is only 3 teams. It's something like that. It's low, very low. Chris, your score prediction for next week? Thoughts?
Yeah, Dave, I don't want to back against the club, but really, I want to change the manager, and that's am I going?
No, you were still hearing you. You know, you're not being cut off or anything. Carry on.
I don't really want to go against the club or the manager, but I think we've got any points that we've got so far this season, despite the manager, and we've only got 1. I think that proves everything that I said at the start of the season is correct. I think we need to change, and I think the longer we leave it, the less chance we've got of getting somebody in that will change it, because we're eating into the games, as the lads have just pointed out, that we've got to try and turn it around. If we take another 5-6 games to work out that Gary's a pile of doo-doo, then we're not turning it around. So that's the problem. Hart wants to say that we're going to turn it around. We're going to play a back 5. We're going to go away and win 2-1. Head thinks that's not going to happen. And what do I really want to happen? Probably the latter of the 2.
Fantastic. Now, guys, in the chat now, this is your opportunity to ask any question you want to any individual or to the panel as a whole before we finish. Whilst you're putting some questions in, I'm just going to give... I can just drop this off. Where is it? I'm just going to drop this off. Yeah. I have promised the foundation that I'll give this a little plug. Which is the Molyneux Sleep Out that's taking place. That's taking place on Friday, the 15th of November. It's basically raising money with the Good Shepherd for the homeless. We have one of our own, Becca, who is taking part in this. Bless her cotton socks. So. Becca, if you're watching, please post your Just Giving link in the description if you're watching, and we'll put it up on the screen for you. If you do want to get involved and do it, yourself, which basically I think you have to raise a minimum of £100 or something like that. Yeah, we had the minimum fundraising target to £100. Anyone 13 plus can be done. The tickets there, if you want to, you have to pay 35 quid and then raise 100 quid. And at 18, it's £20, and it obviously raises a hell of a lot of money for the Good Shepherd, raising awareness with those in need in the city, and of course the foundation as well. So let's have a look at the questions that we've
and
got.
most importantly, Dave, you get a free pucker pie. I've read that bit.
You do get a free pucker pie, actually, and
that.
I've had a pucker pie for tea tonight because, as you know, I got sent a lot of pucker pies, and me and Emma have had a pucker pie for tea tonight, and we've had them at the stadium as well. They're absolutely lovely, them puckers, but they will get a pucker pie and hot drinks. So let's have a look. Do you think, Carl here, anyone can come in on this, do you think it's time to drop Lamina and put Doyle in to start games?
We touched on that earlier, didn't we? Yeah, I mean, obviously he's captain Lamina, but he's not playing great, and his body language to me seems like he's being a bit mopey and moany. So yeah, shake things up, give Doyle a start. You know, just because he's captain doesn't mean he should definitely be in the team.
Absolutely, yeah. Give Doyle a start, and I agree. Play the ones that are in form, or if someone's not playing well, just because he's a favourite, don't keep him in the side, and give someone else a chance with the armband, because it clearly is weighing heavy. I don't think it weigh heavy on Craig Dawson. I'll give the armband to Dawson, get Lamina out, give him a rest, and then get Doyle started.
Nice. Question for Chris, cheerful. This is from Philip Jones. Who do you think then should be the next manager, Chris? Chris, he's been shocked.
Sorry, mate. Connection's gone funny.
Okay. It's not your seat again. No. Philip Jones wants to know, who do you think? Again? Philip Jones would like to know, who do you think should be our next manager, Chris? He stumped him. Philip, you've absolutely destroyed him. We'll come back to that one. JS96 says Palace and Saints will sack managers before us, and their new manager bound will see them beat us. IH agrees.
Probably.
That's
Sorry,
a
mate.
scary thought, that is.
What Wi-Fi?
He's back. Philip Jones, Chris, who is now just a dot on the screen if you're listening on podcast.
Centre half from Man United.
The you?
Centre half from Man United, Phil Jones.
You want Phil Jones to be our next manager?
Is that what you're on about? Oh, to be our next manager. Who do we want?
Yeah.
I was going to say.
All I heard was Phil Jones.
Yeah, Philip Jones.
You know the face Gary Neville pulls where he's like,
who do you think? Because you're on about sacking. Oh, he's gone. Okay, Paul Harris.
Get Phil Jones in.
Question for the whole panel: is 1 win in 18 a sacking ratio, and what manager has kept his job with such a ration? This is an open one. George or Jason, if you can answer this one first. The other George, like Lakin.
Go on, Lakin.
All right, 1 win in 18 is a sacking ratio without a doubt, isn't it? Okay, we gave him the slack at the end of last season for all the injuries. This season, he's gone for, I think, a system that was never going to work, and we would have picked up more points if we'd have gone alternatively. I think he's made mistakes in terms of man management. He's not particularly getting the best out of certain players. I don't know if he's getting the best out of the team as a whole. So beyond the ratio is the last consequence of all these little things that he's not getting right. Ask yourself this question: could a different manager get more out of this squad? The answer is yes. The answer is yes.
Jason, same question to you. And be interested to see where you are.
Give or take Slot and Arteta and Pep. right? Every manager is probably 4 games away from the sack. Every single manager is 4 games away from the sack. If they have a bad run of 4 heavy defeats, they're gone. The fact that we've won 1 in 18, just no manager can survive that. I do understand and sort of know why they're keeping Holder on, because obviously he's just signed a new contract, and yes, he's made the excuses that it's been a difficult start and this, that, but what the excuses are going to run out. 1 in 18 is sackable. And I'm not one of these people who thinks, oh, get rid of the manager, get another one in, because you look at the sands of time, and a lot of the most successful clubs do keep on to their manager. We aren't going to get any success under Gary O'Neill, and I've changed my tune from last season, but we are not going to get any success under Gary O'Neill. As a club, like I've always said, and I've maintained recently, the fact that if we finish 17th, that's all Fosun want, right? I get it. They just want to preserve our EPL. But if we stick with this manager, we're not going to even keep that status. There you go.
Are you saying that you want Gary gone then?
I am saying I think Gary O'Neill should be given the bullet. Yes.
Okay. Chris, Philip Jones, the Man United central defender who's, come on to our show today, who is throwing his hat in the ring for manager. But he wants to know, apart from him, who would you have as manager if you want Gary O'Neill to go?
I made a statement a couple of weeks ago on one of the shows, Dave, that any of the 72 EFL league managers would be doing a better job in some of our matches than Gary has been doing. And I stand by that, so I don't care. But
Jeff Shea has just cut off.
He's got him again.
Internet status. There you go.
I mean, like I had a meltdown last week. I mean, like after going to Brentford and seeing that and what have you, and I was really, really strung. Enough was enough. The fact that Gary hasn't gone, that they've stuck with him. The next opportunity that they're going to have to bring in a new manager will be the November international break. So they're clearly, for me, are giving Gary O'Neill, Manchester City. Okay, they'll judge that yesterday, the board will, and go, do you know what? That was a much improved performance. We should have got a draw. So he'll get ticks for that. And he gets ticks for that from most of the fan base, to be fair. Brighton
Sorry, Dave. The longer it goes on as well, the less appealing this job is going to be to anyone. And if you start getting towards the end of November and their job description says that you've got to win flipping, it'll be then you'll have to win 40% of games to stay up. It's just going to become so unappealing. So they've got to act fast.
Well, this is the point, isn't it? They have like they did with the defensive situation. They've thrown the dice and gambled. They basically signed Gary O'Neill on a 4-year contract, which was quite a long contract that he got given. But he's got 4 years, 2.5 years probably would have been or 2. But he's got a 4-year contract, so they've only just given him
They should give Gary O'Neill's agent the job, because if he's flipping secured that 4-year deal.
Yeah, well, they've only just given him a 4-year contract. So obviously, 7-8 games in, they've held the nerve. And yesterday it was a good team performance. There was a lot of positives that came out of it, despite the defeat. Because let's face it, Manchester City, they're probably the best club in the best team in the world. Next week against Brighton,
keep us up, are they?
No, next week against Brighton. I agree with George to an extent. I think it's a game we've got to get something out of that game. Brighton are a good side, but like they ain't Manchester City, and then the pressure. If we don't get anything at all, well, the pressure whether we get a point or not. Again, when we play Palace and when we play Southampton, the pressure on those games on the players is insane, because they're not a given. And unless Gary O'Neill wins both of those, if he wins both of those games, he'll probably save his job. Fact. that he'll probably get.
Still.
You know, we've won those
Still.
games.
What if he doesn't, Dave? What if we get into the South?
That's the gamble, isn't it?
But this
We've
is the
lost
thing,
the
right?
opportunity.
This is the thing. So then he wins the game, then he gets a draw, then we lose 2. Then he, you know, we're just plastering over a bit of a cut here, in my opinion.
It depends, doesn't it? You know, it depends on whether they then go on a winning run or something like that. You know, but the fact of the matter is, if Brighton next week, if we lose that game, that's 9 games. To get to parity, we've got to win 4 or 5 games in a row just to get back to a point.
And what a season it's going to be? What a season it's going to be! It's like going back in time to the Steve Morgan era with no investment, when we're going to be celebrating 17th at the end of the year. That's not a success.
Right now, I think, you know, I don't.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're going to say. Right now, it will be, but this is the club we are now, isn't it? We're a 16th, 17th club.
Well, that's the club we are. Club that we've been turned into.
Yeah, and we turned into something else, and now we've turned back into it. I mentioned on the article that I did last week for the BBC, which can be read on the Always Wolves website as well. And as a term I phrased was managed decline, and Sutty said that's probably the best way of describing it. It's almost like we've been managed into this decline. Now, look, they're gambling. Do I want Gary O'Neill to turn it around and still be in a job at the end of November? If he turns it around and we get 7 points on these next 3 games, then he will still be in a job, and I'll be like, well done. Do I think it'll happen?
We all will, but it ain't happening, is it?
Hold on, sir.
Statistics tell us that, Dave. Just
talk about the next 3 games,
Dave. I think like you. Go on, sorry, George.
Yeah, no, you're talking about the next 3 games, but George obviously pointed out earlier we need to win 1 in 3 games to have a chance of staying up. Do you believe that Gary O'Neill is capable of doing that? Because it's no good saying, "Oh, yeah, can he do it for the next 3 games and then he can keep his job?"
Well,
you've got to think for the rest of the season as well.
Well, so, the next 10 fixtures after Brighton are not the first 10 fixtures that we've had in the Premier League. They're every single one of those games. Wolves should be going into winning.
But Dave, then we're going into them games bottom of the league. So them teams are going to be thinking, do you know what? Wolves are a team we should beat. And these teams are beating teams. We're not beating anyone. We're going to be low on confidence, Dave. And what will happen is if we go into these games and we lose the first 2, we are toast.
I 100% agree, but if we win those 2, don't forget we will be playing Southampton and Palace, who are basically also haven't got a win, also low on confidence, at playing at home. You know, this is what I'm saying. There is no excuses. There is nowhere he can go other than winning those games. That's the only thing. He has to win those games. He has to win those games, because if you don't, he will be gone. There will be no excuses. And this is what I'm saying. They've gambled, haven't they? They've gambled, but someone else coming in might, okay, you could say the new manager bad, but someone else coming in might not get that straight reaction straight away. So, like what I don't know, it says whether you want a project person or someone that's going to come in and just shake it up. Either way, it's a gamble. So they've gambled.
You know, the gamble here, it starts from the top, Dave, and the gamble is the way managers get treated. Nuno, Lopetegui, the way they've been treated, the way they've been not given finances. Then they've gone for a cheap option, Gary O'Neill, who is not going to moan about any decisions that Fosun make, because he's grateful to get a 4-year contract in the Premier League, Dave. He's not going to ruffle any feathers whatsoever. If he finishes 17th, Fosun will be delighted. It will be a success. They're still in the EPL. They haven't had to spend much money. But guess what? It's a gamble that will not pay off. It can't pay off.
You know what? I don't think they'll be happy with finishing. I honestly do not think they'll be happy with finishing 17th. They're not. They won't be happy with finishing 17th because
they won't be happy. They'll be over the moon, Dave. Because right now we're going to finish 20th.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying they won't be happy with finishing 17th. Their aim for this year was to push for Europe. That's been stated.
Dave, no, it isn't. That's what they tell us. That's not their aim. That's what they're telling us.
Well,
this is the paper talk. This is what they want us to hear. This is what they want. There is no chance because Gary O'Neill wants us to get to Europe, because the players want us to get to Europe, because the fans want to get to Europe. We can say what we want, Dave. It's not happening. We're going into the Championship. That is the reality. We're going into the Championship. George, I've woke up to George's comments today on this. Well, I haven't even looked at it that way. I've been going along the wave of, we've had 8 tough games to start with. When I start thinking we've got to win 1 in 3, we are deep in the shit, Dave. I mean, we are deep in the shit.
Final question then before we finish. Final
Got to
question.
remember. Got to remember.
Fosun, if you said to Fosun now, would you take 17th this season? Oh my God, they would be having tea parties in China. Yes, they would.
I'm not saying they wouldn't now, but I'm saying at the start of the season they wouldn't, because they want
Dave.
They want to tire up.
They want every season. They want every season to look like last season.
Every season to finish 17th, you're going to get relegated. If that's your aim, you're going to fall short. George,
of course.
Sorry, carry
that's
on.
What we're all saying. That's what everybody's saying, because that's what is going to happen. Because they're not going to go for Europe. And you know what? What they'll do is they've got 2 budgets, Dave. They've got the one if we're 10th. We'll push on to Europe, spend a little bit, but we're obviously doing all right, so it won't need that much tinkering. Or they've got the one when we're in the bottom 3, when we're deep in the shit, and that's when they just chuck more money at it and make another mess of it.
Well,
Dave, my laptop's going to die.
We mustn't lose sight of the fact that we have played nearly a quarter of the season.
Yes.
A quarter of the season has gone by.
Yeah.
George, you wanting to come in? Like,
No, I'm not. My laptop's about to die, so I'm going to shoot.
All right, George.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, pal.
Hey, George.
We're nearly finished anyway.
Yeah, mate.
George.
To be fair, I
George.
think you're both kind of right. I think they would be happy with 17th now. Yeah, now in the situation we're in this season. But what they actually want, the board, as far as I can see, is every season just to look exactly like last season. We've gone the yes man at the helm, dealing with what he's given. They can slowly strip away resources as they see fit and say, make do with that. Turn us over 14th, 15th, 16th, season after season. But that's the dangerous game. That's the dangerous game, isn't it? Because it doesn't, it doesn't take much.
If they did that, they can benchmark us for our season tickets on 14th, and we can all pay our eyes every year and still have less people in next season.
They want their cake and they want to eat it as well. That's what it is. Yeah.
To be honest, I always find that
15th,
I always find that saying, you want your cake and eat it. If I'm having a cake, I want to eat my cake. Why wouldn't you want to eat your cake? If you've got a cake to eat, you want to eat the cake. I always say, like, they want the cake. When people say you want your cake and eat it, of course you do. You've got a cake. Why wouldn't you want to eat that cake?
Dave, my auntie made me a cake when I was about 12, and I've always remembered it and would want to eat it again.
Finally, to finish off on, guys, we're going to go round. We're going to go. Chris, George, Jace. And it's just a really honest question. Right now, your feelings, how you're feeling, have you lost all hope? Or do you think we're going to be in? Do you think we're getting relegated? Or is there still hope and you think we'll still be in the Premier League next season? Chris, first off.
I said this to you the other day. You can never lose hope, Dave. If you haven't got any hope, then you've got nothing. But I don't think we're getting out of it. I've got no faith in the manager. I don't think he knows what he's doing, and I don't think he's going to turn it around. And the longer we prevaricate about not changing him, the more impending our doom is, because we're not giving whoever takes over the opportunity to turn the Titanic around.
Okay, George.
I haven't lost all hope yet, because from what I saw on yesterday, it felt like ages ago for some reason, but there's enough quality in that squad to stay up. Like Jason said earlier, though, if we eat into too many games, each game that passes by, that gets written off for this, that, the other reason, that gets said, oh, it's a difficult fixture. oh, it was you know, there was a refereeing issue against us, and Gary O'Neill goes and complains to there's an unconscious bias. Yeah, we know all this already, mate. We know it already. We need to just win some games. Yeah, every game like that goes by, that ratio of wins needed becomes more and more, and then less and less likely. When that squad is good enough, I've seen enough. The squad is good enough to stay up. It might only be 16th, 17th this season, but it's good enough to stay up. There's enough in there. So I really think that there's no more gimmies. There's no more games to eat into. And I haven't lost all hope yet, but I think I have lost hope in the manager. But the manager can change.
Gut feeling, we're staying up?
Gut feeling, yeah.
Oh.
My gut feeling, yeah. I think, yeah.
Jason.
Listen, we're Wolves fans, so we've been on this roller coaster for years. Up, down, Steve Morgan, Jack Hayward. Not, you know what? It was different times then, but these comrades come in and they've promised us so much, and they achieved so much early days. But right now, I can't see us staying up. And if they continue to run the club the way they do, if they continue to drive supporters away, tickets aren't even selling out for games. If they continue to make the decisions commercially they do, and the decisions with the managers that they've done, and the finances of that club, we're going down, Dave. And I'm really, really concerned now. I think we're getting relegated, and I mean that. And you know what? Yeah, last season, Gary O'Neill, we probably did have a bit of a we had probably a better season than we should have. And you know what? He did a good job last season, but it petered out after Coventry, and it's carried on and on and on. And I even said on this channel a few weeks back, I said, "Oh look, it's 2 separate seasons. You can't really add it on." But the more I look at it now, this run's never ending at the minute, and it's only got to continue for another 6, 7, 8 games. And honestly, it's going to be so difficult to turn around. They could bring in flipping Pep. It's going to be difficult. Sorry, my phone keeps slipping. It's going to be difficult. So, yeah, I'm glad I've cheered everyone up tonight. Thank you.
Jason, it's great to have you on. It's always good to have loads of honesty. Look, where I'm at, I think Sooty summed it up. If you go and watch the instant fan reaction, because Sooty stepped in, and something he said, I thought resonated with me. If we play a back 4 under Gary O'Neill, he says we're going to go down. If we play the back 5 and play to our strengths, because we have got undoubted ability, then we'll stay up. So I think the big question is, like we said at the top of the show, I think the polls overwhelmingly stay as a back 5, stick with Sarr. If he changes it against Brighton to a back 4 and drops Sarr, or one or the other, I think he's basically leaving himself wide open to be criticised. But if we stick with the back 5, then Sooty says we'll survive, we'll stay up, because we're playing.
I kind of agree with that, Dave.
Yeah, you know.
I agree with that, and I think let's just throw it back round. Do you think that we're going to see Sarr in a back 5 or Johnson in a back 4 against Brighton? I think we'll see Johnson in a back 4, or at least one of the two, because I think he's that stubborn, and that's why I've lost hope.
I think that's. I do think that's going to be a real interesting test, because you go into everyone's going to be waiting for the team sheet. Everyone's going to be waiting for that team sheet next week on who's in goal. That's the first thing everyone's going to look at. Who's in goal after this weekend? And whether it's a back 4 or a back 5.
Sam Johnston's in goal, Jose Sarr's pissed in Gary O'Neill's cornflakes. I'm telling you now.
Yeah. So let's see. Interesting guy. Listen, over 700 watching. We're aiming to get to 35,000 followers and subscribers on Always Wolves before the end of the year. We're on just over 34,300. So if you haven't subscribed, hop onto the YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That really helps us out. Want to get to that target for the end of the year. We really appreciate that. Thank you for everyone that's got involved in the chat.
Dave, Did I miss when I was off the Thomas Tuchel bit? Did we talk?
Yeah,
about
we all answered that question. You missed it,
Oh.
sorry.
Okay. Thomas Tuchel, then go on. Then give us your thoughts on that to finish the England.
I think it's a great appointment. I can't believe some of the crap I've seen written about him as the New England manager. Our best England manager in my life, results-wise, has been foreign. So I don't know what people, is it because he's German? People need to wake up. This is, it's 2024, not 1946. The world has changed. People have changed.
Yeah. Guys, we haven't given Adolf Hitler the job.
Germans have got, a pedigree of bringing out top managers. You've got a German manager at Barcelona that, Klopp and all this lot that, they bring.
I take it you're happy.
I'm very happy and can't wait to get behind him and support him. Sadly, it's not going to be in my next trip away to watch England at Greece because we're going to have to put up with the Pratt Carsley, who wasn't really English anyway and doesn't know the words to the national anthem, which I think Tom Tuchel will surprise everybody and sing.
Interesting. George, your thoughts on Tuchel?
Yeah, mate, I'm happy enough with Tuchel, to be honest. Good tournament manager, but at the end of the day, I don't think any manager can come in and guarantee you, that you're going to necessarily do well in a World Cup or something. It's fine margins, isn't it, tournament football? But I think by getting a manager like Tuchel, you are giving yourself the best chance and a better chance than probably any other option that we had. So I'm fine with it, yeah. Good appointment.
Guys.
Really simple. In any industry, in any sport, give the best person the job. And right now, he's the best person for that job. He's worked in the Premier League. He knows the players. Proven manager. Good appointment.
Jason's a converted German now. Anyway, he has German sauce on his sausage sandwiches. So
that's not so good.
I'll tell you what. I'll make it around 4 because at the end of the day, look, I had this conversation with Walsall Fan TV, my mate Simon, who says he came out, we were out on Friday, he was like, what do you think? It's disgusting. And I was like, why is it disgusting? And he was like, well, he's German. And I'm like, yeah, he's not playing on the pitch. He's managing the team. He's won things. He says, but like, we could think, I said, we haven't won anything under any of the English managers. I said, like, doesn't matter. He says, like, will he sing the national anthem? I said, like, no one's complaining when the Lionesses manager he said when they play Germany he won't want them to win. I'm like, the Lionesses manager, I can't think of their name now.
Serena Begman. They
went and beat Holland, where she's from. I said, like, they're doing a job. If he's the manager and he's got a World Cup winners medal on his CV, no, he's going to love that. So so at the end of the day, again, like with everything, we'll see, won't we? But he has won stuff. And we need someone that's going to not just get us to a final, but it's going to win us something. So, yeah, there you go.
If it wasn't the English, we can always put Gary O'Neill in.
Well, there you go. Maybe if it doesn't work out at Wolves, he'll be his assistant. Perhaps you never know. George is laughing. Right, guys, we're going to finish off now. It's gone on a little bit longer than we were. Forest have just beaten Crystal Palace to keep them within firing distance of ourselves. What the days that we're celebrating Nottingham Forest beating Crystal Palace, so that they're still close to us and we can still get out the relegation zone. Oh, the dizzy heights that we're in at the moment. Let's see what happens against Brighton. We'll be back next Sunday, chewing the fat. Thank you to the two Georges. Thank you to Cheerful. Thank you to Jason. And congratulations to Manny on becoming the winner of Friday Britain. Obviously, an incredible achievement and so well deserved from all of us. Good night and thanks ever so much as well to Creation Wolf. And if you do want your Christmas gift in, hit the link below and go and get some presents and use the discount code alwayswolves15. Cheers, everyone.
Always Wolves.
Always Wolves.